Hold on. Can you go up to my office and get the?
Yes.
I left it, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yours, John. Good evening and welcome to the Scarborough Board of Education Business Meeting. The date is Thursday, November 6th, 2025. Can everyone please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wonderful, thank you. Ray, can we call the attendance, please?
Yes. Ms. Jacobs,
Here.
Mr. Kelleher,
Present.
Ms. Lindstrom,
Here.
Ms. Mauer,
Here.
Mr. Rockensteyer,
Oh yeah, he'll be late.
Ms. Tarpinian,
Here.
Ms. Trapani Huff,
Here.
Ms. Raskina,
Here.
Ms. Claret.
Here. Wonderful, thank you. Sorry. Agenda item 4.0 is approval of the October 16th, 2025 workshop and business meeting minutes. With no objections, we will approve them as presented. All right. October 5, agenda item 5 is October resignations, retirements, and new hires. This is our monthly non-action item. Just I would suggest you take a look at your meeting materials. Those are included in there. Agenda item 6.0 is adjustments to the agenda. Is there any adjustments this evening?
No.
Perfect, thank you. Agenda item 7.0 is the spotlight recognition. 7.1 is the staff spotlight recognition. So for this, I'll turn it to Charlotte and Jillian.
All right, I will be presenting that tonight. All right, here we go. So this evening we have a very special Spotlight Award winner who is in the audience. That is Jeffrey Mosier. Yes, yes. And so I'm going to read some things that folks have said about him. But first, I just want to say that the person who nominated him was Jessica. Oh, sorry, we're a little behind. Jessica Dumas. Thank you, because I was definitely going to mess that up. But, all right, so Jessica had a lot of nice things to say about Jeff. Jeff is a music teacher here in the district. And so, and does a lot of other things, including this year directing part of the musical, right? Yeah. All right. Very exciting. And so I'm just going to read off a few of the things that were said about Jeff. The SMS chorus teacher, Mr. LaBerge, wanted to highlight his extensive career and achievements. He wrote, throughout his still young career, Jeff Mosier's contributions to choral music in the state of Maine and beyond have been unparalleled. And so much of that work happens right here in Scarborough. When Jeff was hired as the director of choir at Scarborough High School in January of 2021, there were only 17 students in chorus. And at that time, disproportionately low number for one of the largest school populations in the state. However, from day one, Jeff has worked tirelessly to make chorus the type of class that students were excited to join, and they have joined in droves. In less than 5 years, enrollment at the high school choral music program has quadrupled, expanding to include 3 separate ensembles and various voicings and academic levels. Not only does Jeff make chorus a class that students enjoy, but he is also creates an environment where students feel safe, encouraged, and are academically driven and have a strong desire to succeed. Every year, dozens of Jeff's students, more than half if you're counting, audition for and are accepted into a combination of district, state, and regional, and even national level honors festivities. And then Jeff is also always out in the world with these kids. He is constantly on buses and sometimes planes, taking students to auditions, competitions, and music festivals, ensuring they have the full experience. He spends time at his job and is clearly dedicated to our Scarborough music students. What truly sets Jeff apart in this is the deep respect and affection for his students, his students have for him, whether they're baking him birthday cakes or painting portraits or pulling good humored pranks. It's clear that they recognize and appreciate how much he gives. Jeff Mosier, my friend, deserves 1,000 trophies for his dedication. And I'm a little jealous. Carrie Becker. And then finally, for all the reasons above and many more, this is why I, Jessica, oh, no, I'm gonna have to say it again, Dumas, nominated Jeff for the Staff Spotlight Award. His talent and passion for what he does is unmatched. I'm so grateful to get to work alongside him and to have him on our team here in the Arts Department at SHS. Thank you again for all you do for the students and the program. All right, and so we would like to present you with an award, if you wouldn't mind coming up.
Charlotte's gotta get the picture.
Oh, that's so nice.
What an exciting week.
Oh, yeah, can you go to the microphone? Sorry. So everybody can hear when they watch back.
For sure.
Very big viewing audience.
Thank you very much. And I had no official remarks prepared. What an exciting week to teach in Scarborough and to be in Scarborough, of course, with the referendum. And I know that's a big topic tonight and exciting to be there, but also to see the growth. And so that's really the best part of it all, is that starting with 17, and I was counting between Wentworth and middle school and high school, and we're over 250 program wide now in our choral program. And that's just so exciting to see that growth. We have tremendous administrative support. So thank you to the administration, tremendous board support. Thank you to the board, as well as tremendous community support. And so that is so exciting, particularly excited to see in this school project those band and chorus rooms that are coming up for the middle school as well. And so we're super excited to see continued growth at the middle school and the high school. So thank you for all you do. It's a very nice award for me, but it's really a reflection of all the work that you guys do every day. So thank you.
Are there any comments for Jeff? Yeah, please.
I think the work we do every day really serves to support teachers like you who go above and beyond what is necessary to fulfill their job duties and invest in our students. And I think this district has a strong focus on sports, and we're super proud of all of our athletes. And I think it's really important to recognize that for many students, arts and singing is their why, right? Their why to go to school. And if you can hook a kid on a why, you can make a huge impact in their life at school, but way beyond. And I know, having heard your name over and over and over again in positive, glowing terms about what a difference you have personally made by investing your time and energies in our program. I mean, that growth is unprecedented. And that growth in that program is due to your efforts. And we sincerely appreciate and thank you for that.
Any comments? I just want to echo what Perla said. That was very beautiful. I can't do any better than that. But I also want to add, at the start of this year, this school year, we did have some difficulties with the musical, and we heard from a lot of anxious students almost immediately after the decision was shared with them, and anxious about how this would go on and what would they do. And some of them were seniors and getting ready to graduate. And so the fact that you stepped up and stepped in when they needed you the most speaks volumes to you. So thank you. Thank you. And I know that this happened before, this came in before, before that happened. So that was really an interesting, I was telling Jillian and Charlotte, it was a kind of a poetic justice timing, because we had received this and chosen you, and then this happened, and right about the same time. And it just really speaks to your character and how important you are to us and the students. And thank you for that. I don't know what we would have done if you wouldn't have stepped in and helped. So thank you very much. Thank you. And congratulations. All right, agenda item 8.0 is the superintendent report. So Diane.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, good evening, everyone. Can you move that? Thank you. I'm going to just start off with our usual monthly enrollment report. So you can see that our enrollment is hanging really steady. And, you know, certainly you can use last month's slide deck as a comparison. The other piece, just to let folks in the public know, is we do have our enrollment published on our website. And it's not just the enrollment for the current year. You can really take a very long historical look at our enrollment and what that looks like. And you can also look in the forward direction at what do our projections look like. So that's just a little public service announcement about that. But what I really wanted to talk about tonight is just, again, my overwhelming excitement for the approval of both referendum questions on Tuesday. I think this is a really pivotal moment for our district. And we are certainly really excited about moving that forward. And it's funny because I think as early as like before I even got to work yesterday, I was receiving some communications about, so what comes next? And so I just wanted to spend a very brief amount of time just discussing that. I had a brief meeting with our architect, Lisa Sawin, this afternoon, and we have a more full meeting planned for Monday, which will include Shannon and Todd Jepson as well. And basically what I wanted to communicate to you tonight is just kind of where are we right now? And then what are our next steps in the process that are going to get us to the opening of our schools? And so this is a really great visual that Lisa and Emily put together for us. And so there are really going to be three specific steps in the process, if you will. So we're going to spend about the next 5 or 6 months in design development. That's going to include meetings with staff, meetings with other stakeholders. And when I say other stakeholders, I mean like members of our public safety, right? Because whenever we're planning a school, we really want to make sure that we're getting that lens from our partners at the fire department, at the police department, because they look at things from a different lens than we might. Using their expertise. Will include our IT director, so on and so forth. They will be putting together some cost estimates during that design development phase to help us make those decisions, right? Because we know that we have a finite amount of money to spend. And so, you know, design development sounds really exciting, and it will be, but it is not the sky is the limit, right? It is just like all of us do in our own personal lives and figuring out like, here's our budget, and then how are we selecting different components that stay within that? And really completing that design at the by the end of that phase, right? Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to be digging back into design decisions up until the point where we're or beyond the point that we're sending things out to bid, right? So we've got a lot of really clear work to do over the next 5 or 6 months. Once the design development is intact, then our partners on the architectural side will get to work on all of the construction documents. And, you know, that will include all of the minute details about each of the, you know, additions, renovations, or new builds that we're doing so that we can have a totality of documents that could be bid on because we have to be as specific as possible to ensure that the bids that we have are also as specific as they can be. And then we'll move to the construction phase, which I'll show you in the next slide, a slide that you've probably seen before, but it's been several months. And that construction phase will vary according to site. So if you want to move to that, actually, Ray. So this is just a reminder of an approximate implementation schedule. I believe that you all saw this in our late June presentation, just to give you an idea. And so, you know, when you look at this particular chart and you see the yellow design and you say, Diane just told us that design was 5 or 6 months, that design as it is on this chart includes those construction documents being designed, right? And so we're really looking for design development and all of the documentation needed to go out to bid being complete by the end of 2026. You know, certainly if we can move that along, we will do that, but we want to be really thoughtful about making sure that we're as complete as possible. At the start of 2027, projects will go out to bid. And then you can see that the construction timeline looks different according to build. At the current time, the idea is that all 3 primary schools would be in a construction phase at the same time. We've talked about that, right? There's a huge savings by doing this all at one time versus phasing it in over multiple long years. And so if all goes according to plan, the expectation would be that construction would be complete by Q3 of 2029 for the primary schools. So that includes addition and renovation for Blue Point and Pleasant Hill, and then that complete new build that we've shared with you that's going to happen in 2 phases at 8 Corners. The Wentworth project, as you can see, is a lot more limited in terms of construction time because, as you know, we're building a small Lego block addition onto Wentworth. And so that work should happen at a much quicker pace and will be completed by the first quarter of 2028. And then at the middle school, even with the 2-story addition, which we are very excited that we're able to really make sure that the district's needs are met for years to come, that construction phase should be complete by the first quarter of 2029. So obviously, this is our first blush look at that, but I've had a lot of people in the community already asking about when are those next steps starting. So, you know, as we come together and begin meeting next week, we'll talk about these project schedules more in depth. We'll talk about the seating of a building committee, and then we'll also discuss an opportunity to bring the full board and town council into what those next steps will look like in the form of a workshop. So that is what I wanted to be able to share this evening, because again, I know inquiring minds want to know, and we're really excited for all of the work that we have ahead.
Perfect. Are there any questions? Thank you, Dan. Are there any questions for Dan? Yes. Let's see. Cressy, for your first time.
I was wondering, you know, given sort of uncertainty about tariffs and inflation and cost of materials, how much of wiggle room was built into that, the estimate, you know?
Yeah.
Any worry, I'm just worried, worried about how, you know, waiting a year for it to go out to bid, the economic picture might be very
Sure.
different.
No, that's a great question, and that came up a lot in SBAC meetings as well, right? Because I think we've been seeing this for a while now, and the way the project was estimated to start with, there are some buffers built in and some soft costs built in, and so I think we're feeling really confident that we'll be able to achieve our goal within that. Obviously, we are bound to stay within the amount of money that was approved by the voters. And so if that means that we do have to value engineer some things to stay within that, because if things increase at a much higher rate than we might project, we feel confident that there's still that buffer there for us to do that.
We have a school solution referendum bullet on the agenda, so we can talk a little bit more then about the committee and the things that are happening. But one of the things that I would like to see these slides go on our website and maybe on our building page and maybe adjust a little bit since we don't need the referendum anymore. But your letter that was so lovely to the community, like I would love to see that front page and then maybe our
Yes.
designs underneath.
Yeah,
So
so,
we can work on that.
yeah,
too.
and in tomorrow's newsletter to the community and to staff, I will also have these visuals in there along with the letter that I posted on the webpage. So hopefully that helps people feel like they're being communicated with. We certainly recognize that it's going to be really important for us to continue to communicate with our public throughout
Mhm.
this whole project. Certainly, I think the cadence will change a bit. We've had a very super involved communications committee that has been providing weekly updates
Mhm.
or more than weekly updates. And as you can imagine, based on what I've described for the next year or so, we will not be providing weekly updates because there's just going to be a lot of work happening
Yeah.
behind the scenes. But what we probably will do is look to update the community on a monthly
Yeah.
basis, because I think that's probably a better cadence for where we are in the project at this point.
Yeah. Very good, thank you. All right, agenda item 9.0 is the chair report. I have not too much because I'll talk more when we get to the school solution. We do first welcome, I would like to welcome Cressy to your very first meeting. Our newest school board member that was elected on Tuesday night, and sworn in and ready to ready to get going. Diane and I have a meeting scheduled with her tomorrow to orient her to the board and get her up to speed. And so from this point forward, the committees where I was filling in will now be Cressy. So communications, and you and I, we can talk through all of this, but the communications, negotiations, I'm drawing a blank because I didn't write them down. We will talk, those two I know are yours. Those and your liaison roles we will talk through tomorrow. But just for the board's information going forward, those committees where I was a fill-in, will now be, she'll be taking her spot. So, congratulations and welcome. And we're hoping you're excited to hit the ground running because we're excited to have a full board again and be ready to hit the ground running. So thank you for running and, we're happy to have you. Last night, I did attend the town council meeting. It was Council Chair Scyther's last meeting. She has now completed her term on the council and has stepped down. And so I did attend, and I did attend also to hear the results called, which was really exciting. We have worked a really long, hard time on this, and so that was a really awesome moment to be able to hear that the results for the school called. One thing that was said during the town manager's report that I've been thinking about ever since, that I'm kind of I'm interested in learning more about. He was talking about the senior tax relief dollars and the application process. And what we do know, or what I at least do know from this referendum process, is that there are a lot of concerned people. How are we going to pay this bill? What does this look like? This is a lot of money. But when Tom Hall reported on the number of applications, there was actually 13 less applications received this year. So it seems a little strange to me, just in light of the conversations that we've all heard around town. And so I did message Tom today. I'm interested. He did say last night he was going to do some research into why those numbers are what they are, why the numbers dropped. So I'm interested to hear what that looks like. I know that we as a board are struggling with the loss of the leader, and I'm not sure if this is another side effect of not having the paper anymore. I don't know if maybe you know, there's some more outreach that can be done. I don't know what's going to come of it, but I did say that I know I would be interested in helping where possible, and I'm sure that others would as well. So once we kind of have some more information, I'll be happy to report back on that. Yeah, go ahead.
And I don't know if you mentioned this or not, but the amount available, like, per person went up, right? They
Correct.
increased the rebate for folks.
For next
too,
year.
For next
Yeah.
year.
Yes.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
that, they did a lot of work around that. So it is
Yeah.
interesting that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's interesting that it went down. Just there seems to be something just
But
doesn't
it-
quite add up.
But it was passed fairly recently in terms of there was, you know, the increase in terms
Yeah.
of the relief. So that is new. I don't
Mhm.
know if that how that information, if it's really gone out or it's been an effort to communicate that, you know, actively. I don't know if like, you know, there's a senior, you know, the senior lunches that are take
Mhm.
place. And so I don't know if there's a way to get that word out.
Yeah, I suspect that the council, just like we are challenged, I suspect that the council is also very similarly challenged with getting the word out. They did start a new program. They mentioned, they talked about it last night. They're calling it Cakes and Counselors. Yes. And they're going, they're taking cupcakes and they're going to people's neighborhood, like community neighborhoods, and visiting with residents and talking with them and listening to their concerns. And they started yesterday with the senior lunch. And so that was their first time. And so those meetings, there are some opportunities to engage with the senior population here in Scarborough. I just am not sure of the reach. You know, I think we all have this, I don't know that we realized fully perhaps the impact the leader had. I think we knew, but didn't know, if that makes sense, right? Like what you don't really know until it's gone. And now that it's gone, we're all kind of, you know, we're trying to fill a void. Yeah, and so I think that they have that same problem. I mean, we talk about it, and you'll talk about it on communications. I mean, that was our big avenue. Right. To reach people. Yeah, and it's a big loss. Yeah. All right, any questions or any other questions for me? All right, so agenda item 10.0 are our committee reports. Our first is speaking of community outreach, Charlotte.
So on the same topic as Spotlight Awards, we are looking for more Spotlight nominations. So I added a link in here and just want it to be known to the community that we are looking for nominations. And Mr. Mosher, if you could pass that along to your colleagues. And thank you, Jillian, for doing the report because my throat and voice is tired and I appreciate it. We are also planning our senior citizen appreciation dinner, and Ray's been communicating with the Wentworth staff, and we're looking at April 7th at the Wentworth cafeteria, and we'll start to be recruiting volunteers. And the next committee meeting for community outreach will be Thursday, November 20th at 5 p.m.
Perfect, thank you. I'm just checking my calendar to make sure I did in fact put it in April. Perfect. Yes, make sure I do in fact have it. All right, thank you so much. Are there any questions for Charlotte? All right, wonderful. Jillian, curriculum.
All right. So we last met on the 30th, and Katie talked to us about a lot of things, lots going on in that department. So they got the results for the main through year assessment, and the individual reports that happened in the spring. Those individual reports went out in September, from that spring testing. I know we got one. And then the fall assessments recently wrapped up. And Katie is doing what she said was data cleanup. So, you know, pulling the data together, and sorting it, and whatever magic they work, that's what she's doing. And then, so the families will be receiving those reports when they're complete. I think that she said the target was mid to late November. Except for iReady, which were the K-2 assessments. Those are not going out directly, and I don't know if anybody remembers from last year, like they decided to hand them out instead at parent-teacher conferences because parents were, especially kindergarten parents who have not had a child in the district, like you get this report and you're like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? Anyway, so to sort of close the loop on that, they've decided to hand those out at parent-teacher conferences, which helps the parents and the teacher go through it. So that's I really think that's a nice positive change and that worked well last year. She did say that there were some changes to the NWEA percentile rankings, and she's going to go over that with us during her presentation. You know, it's like the data or the model data. What's the term I'm looking for? Changes as the cohort of students.
Right.
The test cohort changes. So like the percentiles, you know, don't compare to the 80s or whatever.
Every 2 or 3 years, NWA does update those norms based on the
norms,
math
thank you.
of the
Yeah.
kids' scores the previous 2 or 3 years. So it's in that regular cycle that they have redone that. And this time we're seeing a slightly bigger change than in a lot of other years. But
Yeah.
Katie will talk.
Yeah.
And
we're-
much more eloquent.
Yes, right. Like I'm definitely not doing this any service. So Katie is going to give us a wonderful presentation about that when that is all ready. And then she talked about how they are exploring some new types of curriculum, and especially in math, K-8. Her teams are looking at various programs, and they're going to have a meeting to review all those in December. So that's super exciting. And I guess there's like a lot of energy around it, which, you know, just really always speaks to our teachers. So, and I think that's it. Our next meeting will be on the 24th at 5:30. And at that time, we're going to review the CNA, the community needs assessment stuff and look at what a committee would look like. At least that's the goal. And then possibly hear about some of this data.
Very good. Is there any indication so far if the numbers, the data, the testing data went up, went down?
No, I mean, they had
Nothing yet?
just wrapped it up. They're like pulling it all and
Gotcha. Gotcha.
doing
Very good.
whatever people with numbers do.
Are there any questions for Jillian? All right, thank you. Next is finance.
So we met, a majority of our time was spent on going over the policy for building a budget because we're getting very close to budget season. So we were looking at how we could make the policy better align with the process of building the budget. And then we also kind of were making a plan to step forward and get moving on to next year's budget. And that was pretty much it. Most of it's recorded or all of it's recorded. So figure it out.
Correct. Are there any questions for Mitchell? Are you pushing your button? Or are you doing something else? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Apologize.
I have a question.
Yes.
Just since I'm so new, can you tell me sort of the budget cycle in terms of a calendar year, sort of just a broad?
That is a wonderful question. Considering I'm relatively new on the finance committee, I'm not the best task for that, but
Yeah, I'm happy to interview. I've been on the finance committee for a few years. So typically, the district is pulling together numbers right now. So that means that every single teacher and every single department, and they've already met probably before now, have drafted needs. They go building by building, level through level, and there's a very comprehensive review of every line item that's spent in the school to assess what's needed, what may be not needed, and what changes might be warranted. It's a very extensive process, and you're going to learn a lot about it when we have our workshops coming up in the spring around March. So typically, the superintendent, and that works its way up. So they go painstakingly through the budget as departments and then building leaders make their budgets. They then present it to the superintendent in the finance office. Kate Bolton, you'll meet her. She's a phenomenal asset to this district. She is so valuable and such an incredible, she's really good at taking a lot of complex data and giving it to you in a way that's really easy to understand, which I really value as somebody who's not come from the budgeting world. But they go through that process. The superintendent comes together within a budget, and then that budget goes to the finance committee, but there's a few workshops that lead up, and this timing is some what we're figuring out with the policy right now. But there'll be 2 policy workshops, and each of the departments will come present so that every board member is very well educated about the budget, what the requests are, and then the basis for the request. And I find it very easy to understand why we're asking for the budget that we're asking and how to talk about it with constituents who have questions. And so one of those is an evening session, one of those is a daytime session. They're long. They have these really amazing Raspberry Pillow cookies that are delightful. That's part of the process. It's mandatory. And by the end of it, you'll get a good sense. That's in March. There's an interplay between the budgets, right? Because we aren't the final deciders on the budget, and the school budget is part of the town budget. And so it comes through our finance committee, it comes to us as a body through a first reading. There's items in motion, you'll find out those are things that have to be updated, healthcare rates, things like that, that come in late in the process. And so there's a dialogue that goes back and forth. It goes back to the town also has to approve it, then it comes back to this board to make changes, and then we'll go. But Kate puts out these like calendar of events way in advance. She gives you all the information about where to be, who's going to be there, and what's going to be on the agenda for those dates. And you'll be more than welcome and encouraged, and it's very helpful to have you attend. So they're gonna, they handhold us through the process in a way that is really helpful for people who, like me, did not have any experience in schools or budgeting before I started.
Yeah, it's a really, those days are really good days. It's a budgeting for government's a little different than budgeting for, business or for a house or personal finance. And so, it's a really good process, and really you are in excellent hands with Kate Bolton and Diane. They're both really knowledgeable and super helpful. So,
Yeah, and the other piece that we try to do too, which we started last year, was each month a different building leader or department, head will come and speak about work within their school, so that you're learning about what all the schools are about and what their priorities are, so that when you enter into the budget process, you have a better understanding of how all of that aligns, right? Because prior to last year, it was basically like the March workshops were like cramming for everything that like we were trying to just like fill you up with as much information as we could, like help you learn about the schools and then ask you or, talk about what the needs were all in one setting, right? And so what we've tried to do now is really take this approach where we're constantly showcasing and talking about the works happening in different departments or in our buildings, so that you feel more knowledgeable as a board member.
Broken out.
Yeah, so like, for example, it's the second meeting of the month, so at the November 20th meeting, you'll hear Principal Terrio from the high school come, and he'll give a presentation about what are the big priorities for the high school and what the high school is working on currently. So at least you have a point of reference, right, back and forth.
perfect. Are there any other questions for Mitchell? Would you mind just dropping your information in that slide so that you post it tomorrow, right? Yeah, so if you wouldn't mind before, that would be perfect. Thank you. All right, John, long-range planning, you're up, sir.
Yes, well, we had our first meeting of the school year on the 20th. And we went through, Todd had come in, I think, at one meeting and told us like the things that they did over the summer. But I think he might have given the condensed version. We went over, we have the list here of everything that was done. It's extensive. And thanks to Cheryl for helping me get that in there. Jillian and I tried and we couldn't do it, so Cheryl was able to. So we discussed all those, went over that, and then we decided it would be best to just not talk about much else until after we found out what was gonna happen on Tuesday, which, thank God, now we have some direction. And so I think what we're going to do is meet again, TBD, we don't know when, but to figure out what we need to bridge the gap to get to when, what, are there anything big items, what do we have to do to get us to where we're going in, sounds like sometime in 29. We get a few years, but there's still lots of things that'll happen at the school. So we will be working on that, but at least we know that we have an end game for at least some of the schools. The high school, always something's going to be happening there. So we'll keep on plugging away with everything that we need. So we'll probably meet either this month or next month to discuss. I'll reach out to Todd and the rest of the committee, see what we got.
That's really good. Thank
Yeah.
you, John.
You're welcome.
This list is really good. I know I've heard some talk, that perhaps, the schools could have been better maintained and maybe that would have been a reason to, keep the schools, right? And so I appreciate, the fact that we can see all the work that has been done on an annual basis. And Todd works very, very hard on our schools and his team, not just Todd, but Todd and his team. And this is a pretty extensive list. And this is summer projects and it's 2 entire full pages long. So I'm really glad that's up for the community to see, how seriously we take this work and how often, Todd is really, and his team are really putting in, extensive work. This is quite a bit for just a few months. Yeah, thank you. All right. Freyla, you're next. You have a couple. You just want to go back to back?
Yeah, I'll go back to back. So negotiations, we are super excited. We've been in contact with the SEA to start this year's contract. It's the ESP contract. Am I saying that right? Yes. Colloquially known as the EdTech contract. It's a really important contract. I think we're really interested in getting started. And we have issued a 10-day notice to the SEA to prompt them to come meet with us to meet on this new contract because we need to get started on it. It's important and we want to get it done. Our goal with this contract, as it was with every single contract, is to make sure that staff leaving for the school year end with leave knowing what the contract is. So there's no uncertainty over the summer months about what they're coming back to. And so we have gone into the summer a couple times lately, and I really want to make it a priority to get this contract started as soon as possible. That's negotiation. So moving to policy, I apologize for violating every policy or every slide rule known to mankind with the print size and number of items on this slide. But as you can see, policy committee is churning through policies. So we had a very productive meeting this evening and chewed through a bunch of policies that are going to come to you for first reading. There's a second one policy coming to you for second reading. The public comment policy will be coming forward. But we went through temperature standards and class size, board standing committees and the procedures related to those. And then there's a quick change that's going to come to you that was brought forward but from the finance committee, which is a change in the recruitment timeframe in our policy. The DOE did an audit of our manual and we need to update those numbers. So that's going to come to you. It's not a full review of that policy, but it's a quick change to the retention policy. So stay tuned for next meeting. Upcoming, we have a big suite of policies having to do with computer use coming up. That's a lot of policies. They're going to be fairly duplicative in a lot of places, but we need to update our essentially internet use policies and technology policies so that we come in line with what our security department and technology department needs us to do. And then under discussion, the town facilities naming policy, we promised a draft to the town by the end of the year. We are going to make that goal. And then there's a few other policies that are upcoming. As a reminder, we reviewed the policies in reverse chronological order from the last time they've been reviewed. We have left the 1900s and we are now working through the very, very early start of the 2000s. Happy to take questions.
The only thing is the date for our next meeting is November 20th.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Our regular meeting is December 2nd. We have an extra meeting on November 20th, which coincides with another meeting that we talked about on the comms. And so I suspect one of those meetings is going to shift timing. We will publish all the agendas at least 3 days in advance for both meetings, so folks will have plenty of warning if they are interested in attending.
Awesome. Are there any questions for Freyla? All right, is there anybody with liaison reports? There was a district emergency management team meeting. I was out of town and unable to attend, so I didn't know if I could put you on the spot and ask you to, Ray, on the spot, at either of you to just
I was-
provide us a little
Quickly
update.
pull up the agenda. We did a quick review of each phase level's emergency plans to go over that and discuss that. And then the other big thing we talked about was starting our subcommittee, which we're gonna start on November 17th, which looks at what our current practices are for intruder or active shooter at one of our schools, and then looking at what the Homeland Security recommendations are, and looking at what the other school districts around. And then the goal of that subcommittee is to come back with some recommendations of the best ways to update that or leave it the same to the DEMP committee, and the DEMP committee would then make recommendations, to this body here. And that subcommittee will involve teachers, admins, and public safety officials as well. Anything else, Diane, I missed from that?
I think the only other thing that we discussed was, again, something that we do annually, which is our tabletop exercises.
Oh,
So, each year, all of our school sites involve members of their incident management teams as well as our public safety officials. And they go through some scenarios just to kind of make sure that everybody is aligned in their thinking and that we're working through questions that are coming up for folks so that people feel really confident about what their plans look like. And I know that several of those have already started happening in some of our schools. So last year, I think we had a few sites where those tabletops happened very late in the year. And we really wanted to highlight that as a priority at the start of the year so that, or earlier in the school year, so that folks feel really confident about what our plans are.
Perfect, thank you so very much. All right. Agenda item 12.0 are student reports. And before I jump too heavily in this, I was gonna ask you, when you, Sarah, are talking, do you want to also cover our mentoring meeting as well and what you're thinking for your project? All right, perfect. So I will turn this over to Abby and to Sarah.
Yeah, at the middle school, across 3 days and 6 field trips, every sixth grader got to experience the Lab Venture program at the Gulf of Maine Research Institute. The picture on the left and the right are different things they got to do. And this program connects students to the scientific research happening right along our coast and brought the students into the lab for a hands-on immersive experience built around an observation made by local lobstermen and how that became the basis of much of the Institute's current work. Students collected data on live lobsters, learned how rising ocean temperatures are affecting species, habitats, and met some of the newer arrivals to the Gulf of Maine, like black sea bass, and heard from the lobstermen and researchers working together to collect data and plan for the future. And also, the boys and girls soccer team just won regionals and were on to states on Saturday.
Miss Abby, congratulations to you.
Yeah. It's in Messalonsky if you want to come.
When is it?
Saturday.
This Saturday. It's at, where did you say it is?
Messalonsky.
Messalonsky. How do you spell that? Okay.
Way
Waterville area.
And what time?
Girls is at 11.
And boys are after.
Well, I was wondering about.
I know. I'm just
But
making sure our view-
good for everybody else to, also at Messalonsky?
Yeah.
Is that the name of the school?
Yes.
Messalonsky, never heard of it. Yeah. Nice. All right.
Is it really?
Wow.
We went there sophomore year as well.
Oakland, Maine. That's very exciting. I'm very excited for you.
Put in your water bill.
You're funding. Gotcha. All right, any questions for Abby?
Okay, last week at Pleasant Hill, the talented art teacher, Mrs. Chapples, brought in some of her original oil paintings to share with her students. The students first described what they saw, including the different colors and textures the paintings had. They then worked on recreating their own versions of Slurp the Snail, Sheila the Shark, and Otto the Seagull. Also at Pleasant Hill, last Tuesday, they held a book character parade where students and teachers could dress up as their favorite book characters.
Very nice.
Oh, and Shannon and I a few days ago had a mentor meeting and we discussed what my project should be, and we came up with the idea of doing, it's not fully planned out yet, but like sort of a newsletter to like try to communicate like upcoming policies and really explain it in sort of like simpler terms, like possible effects that policies could have on students, because I know students aren't looking at like the policies directly.
I am wounded by that.
She means it in the very nicest of ways. And look, she's trying to solve the problem for you. Yeah, Sarah had some really great ideas. She's interested in getting the students more involved in the policy process for the school board. And so really understanding, we talked a lot about the cell phone policy and how that was really impactful, right? And how the students, that was, you know, occasionally we hear from students, and we did hear from a lot of students, obviously, with the cell phone policy, but oftentimes with policy, they do impact students, right? And they don't always see it or think about it. And so she's interested in getting them more involved in the process. And also the other thing we talked about is collecting, like finding a way for her to collect feedback from kids. So I think it's gonna be a cool project. All right, any questions for Sarah? All right. Agenda item 13.0 is the school solution referendum. So as we've discussed already a few times tonight, it did pass. This time we did pass both question 1 and question 2. Pretty significantly, the pass rate was about 60 and almost 60% for the second question. So a pretty awesome turnout. We had 50% of our voters turned out to vote, which is amazing considering that this was we had 1 school board and 2 council seats all running unopposed. We did have our school questions, and then we had 2 state questions. So no federal questions, no gubernatorial races, and we still, that turnout is unbelievably incredibly impressive. So that is really great news. From this point on, because the referendum did pass, the communications committee is now disbanded. So they, per our governance document that we created and voted on here, they're no longer working. And so one thing I would ask Cheryl, if we could remove that from the website, because that's no longer an active committee, that would be perfect. The second piece is that as we go ahead and move on to our next steps, the committee that Diane mentioned is the committee that we discussed as a body maybe a month or so ago at a board meeting. And that's the committee to really monitor the progress, monitor the budget, walk through this process with the district, with the architect. So that is our next piece that has to happen in fairly short order, because as you can imagine, the work has to get done. So myself, Diane, and Lisa are meeting on Monday for me to get some more information to share with you. This is the first time I've stepped into this piece of this work. So I don't really know what a committee like this looks like size-wise, who, we know we want community members. We know, of course, Todd, we know, of course, board representation, council, town manager. There's going to be quite a list. And so we're just we have to flesh this out a little bit and see what it looks like. And It'll likely look like writing new documents like we did a new governance document. Getting that in front of us. I would like to see a piece of that be communications. What I think has been really unbelievably amazing about this process, there's been a few things. One is the people that came and showed up. And the second is the communication that happened. And in both cases, I think what a beautiful outcome of it is the trust that we've built with the community. And so I don't want to slow down on this right now, on that right now. So one thing I am hoping that this committee can do is continue with the communication piece. That's my hope. We'll see what we get on Monday. More information will be forthcoming. Diane mentioned the joint meeting with council once we kind of have our feet on the ground. The council operates a little bit differently than we do. They don't, when we get sworn in, we just go and we meet with Kristen in her office and we do it privately. Council actually has to wait 2 weeks after the referendum has been certified. And so they are not sworn in until 2 weeks from yesterday. And they will at that point elect a chair and a co-chair. So right now, with April out, I presume John is the acting chair, as the Counselor Anderson is the acting chair, is the current vice chair. So they're a little, I don't want to say they're in flux, but they're a little in flux just by virtue of the way they formed. So we will, again, that's another sooner than later thing we need to get on the books, is that meeting. Lastly, I did want to share, at council, I did give public comment about this yesterday at the meeting, and I just thought I would read it for the record here for you to hear as well. What I said is, I'm incredibly honored to stand before you today to say thank you to the council and the larger community for your help, your belief, and your commitment in getting the school referendum passed. The road to a school solution has been long. It has been marked by hard choices, deep conversations, and a shared hope for what's possible. But today I want to focus on the most incredible part of this journey, the people. 2 years ago, our bodies came together to form the building committee. We asked, and sometimes even begged, community members to join us. We asked that they trust us and trust the process we hope to build, and they did. More than 60 people stepped forward, paving the way with countless hours of hard work, thoughtful dialogue, and unwavering dedication. When we first envisioned a committee made up of community members, we could never have anticipated the overwhelming response. The committee was a mix of ages, experience, and background. I think starting out, each member had an idea of what the right solution might be. And then when they came, we asked something even harder of them. We asked them to leave those ideas at the door and follow the data. It was a big ask, and they answered with grace. Week after week, you showed up. They brought their time, their talents, and their heart to the process. They built trust, they built consensus, and ultimately they built a solution that reflects the very best of Scarborough. I know the solution isn't for everyone, and I recognize the very real concerns many residents have about how they will pay for such a significant project. These conversations aren't easy, but they're necessary. And moving forward, I'm hopeful we can continue working together to identify ways to reduce the fiscal impact wherever possible. I was incredibly heartened to hear the council's finance committee discuss the potential for increasing the school impact fee to help offset some of the costs. That kind of forward-thinking approach matters. The recent increase in senior tax relief is also an important step forward, one that helps protect our most vulnerable residents and ensures that Scarborough remains a place where all people of all ages can thrive. So thank you. Thank you to the council. Thank you to the building committee. Thank you to the community. And cannot say thank you enough for showing up for our students, for our teachers, and for the future of Scarborough. I did get an opportunity today to speak to one of the building members, the SBAC 1 and 2 members, and we had a lovely conversation, but I told him this committee to me we didn't know. We were hopeful. We had no idea. We were hopeful that it would work. We were hopeful that by bringing the community along in the process, we would have a better outcome. But we were all taking a big risk and a big chance. And quite frankly, and now that it's all said and done, it's really, to me, an example of how, or should be an example for cities, for towns, for our federal government, for people everywhere, what can happen when people set aside their preconceived ideas and notions, and they just work together. I've never seen a committee full of more different ideas, different ideologies, different backgrounds, different work experiences. And it was not rainbows and butterflies. It was not, the first meeting, I remember I was sat in there and I was nervous because there was arguing and there was conversation. But they had these deep, deep conversations, and they disagreed and they battled and they challenged, but they didn't battle people. They battled ideas, and they battled thoughts, and they battled data, and they challenged not each other personally, but what they were saying. And it should be an example for people everywhere. This committee is an example of what we can do right. And I cannot say enough how proud I am of it and the work that they did and how they came together. And I truly believe that the result, not the discrepancy, that the difference in the votes, the yes and the no votes, can really be attributed to that. It was a real honor to have this, and this is to be a part of this, and this has been a real honor to watch all the way through to fruition. So that's my thank you. All right, any questions on the school referendum? What's next? Where we're going? Anything forward? All right.
I have one question.
Please.
Are we gonna continue doing updates on the school referendum every meeting, or are we gonna change the schedule of updates on the building project as it moves into a phase that may be less important? It's extremely important work, but it's gonna be more incremental, and I think the member reports may be revising. I was 100% supportive of putting this on the agenda and talking about it every single meeting. I think that was really significant. We're sort of reevaluating sort of how we use that time. Still wanting to bring the information forward to the public, but maybe on a schedule that's gonna make more sense.
Yeah, I think this goes down to once a month, probably.
Similarly to what we
Yeah.
talked about.
Yeah, and if anything, in the meantime, if something pressing comes up, we can always add an agenda item for sure. But I think this can definitely go down.
Yeah.
Go down to once a month. Yeah. All right, agenda item 14.0 is general public comment. Is there anyone here wishing to make general public comment this evening? No, anybody online?
One online, they can raise their hand
If anyone online is wishing to make public comment, if you want to raise your Zoom hand. All right, hearing none, I will close general public comment. Agenda item 15.0 is new business. 15.1 is donations. 15.1.1 is donation approval for the high school.
Yes, so you'll see the letter in your packet. It is from Project Grace. It is to Mr. O'Connor, who is one of our math teachers at the high school, and I will read it for you. Dear David, thank you for your commitment to education and especially your students at Scarborough High School. Project Grace is very pleased to present to Scarborough High School Mathematics Department a gift of 11 new advanced math calculators. Retailing at about $100 a piece, the gift is close to $1,200, but our neighbors' investment in education is priceless. Our community is very quick to share, and these calculators were given to us during our annual school supplies and backpacks drive, and we are delighted to pass them on to you. Some years ago and in the years since, Project Grace provided calculators to the high school so that students who could not afford a calculator of their own or who had lost or forgotten to bring theirs to school could borrow one for the school year or for a test or classroom work through the loaner program. We hope these calculators are useful, and if there are students with exceptional math skills who are unable to have a calculator of their own, we hope you will make a gift of one of these, perhaps a prize, so that they may continue to advance their math studies with confidence. With our most sincere best wishes to you and your students for a successful academic year ahead. The letter is signed by Steffi Cox, the Executive Director of Project Grace.
Very nice. Do I have a motion to approve the donation for the high school as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Anybody wishing to make public comment? All in favor? And that shows unanimous. Thank you so much. Agenda item 15.1.2 is a donations approval for funds raised for the backpack program.
Yes, I will share this memo to you from Kate Bolton. Before I read it, I will just tee this up with, last week, oh, actually, it's in here, so I'll read the memo. Over the past few weeks, our district has been pulling together to address the increased concern around food insecurity due to the government shutdown. While the high cost of essentials, food, clothing, fuel, shelter had already stretched many household budgets, federal workers are now on furlough or going unpaid, and the local economy is feeling the strain. When it was announced that SNAP benefits would not be delivered starting on November 1st, district leaders created two communications. One for school families that may need access to help, and another with information on how to donate to the backpack program. We are pleased to have made connections already with several new families who will benefit from our support. We are also thrilled to report that the fund drive, which only started Friday afternoon, so not even a full week yet, has prompted an outpouring of donations from our school community, with a total of 101 donors to date, giving a total of $11,000 even as of this morning, as well as many gifts of food and supplies. The generosity of these many community members is truly inspiring. We respectfully request that the school board approve acceptance of these donations on behalf of the school nutrition backpack program. As an aside, I will also share with you that our food service department on Monday received an email from a Wentworth parent, and one of our students at Wentworth, Daniel, upon his mom sharing with him what the school was going to be doing to try to raise funds for the backpack program, they decided that he would hold a bake sale over the weekend. And so on Monday, he delivered $150 to the backpack program.
That's incredible.
So we really do appreciate the generosity, and it will go to good use. And, you know, the other thing is our backpack program generally provides food for students over the weekend. And in part because of the donations that we've received, we have decided that as long as we are able to, we are going to increase that weekly donation to families to include all family members and food to help them with nighttime meals as well.
Oh, very nice.
So, you know, to the extent that we can continue to do that during this shortage, we're certainly committed to doing that.
That's wonderful. All right, do I have a motion to approve the funds raised for the backpack program as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor? And that shows unanimous. Thank you so much. Agenda item 15.1.3 is a Hannaford Health School approval donation to Wentworth School.
Yes, in your packet, you'll see a letter from Kelly Crosby, our Wentworth principal. Scarborough Board of Education, Wentworth Intermediate School raised a total of $756, consisting of the $300 base donation and additional funds from 133 community redeemed coupons directed to our school from the Hannaford Health School program. Once accepted by the Board of Education, we would like to provide this donation to the backpack program at Wentworth School to expand support for families facing greater food insecurity due to the government shutdown and suspended SNAP benefits. We respectfully request that the school board approve the acceptance of this generous donation on behalf of Wentworth School.
Very nice. All right, do I have a motion to approve the Hannaford Health School approval donation to Wentworth School as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor? And that shows unanimous. Thank you so much. Agenda item 15.2 are appointments. 15.2.1 is a behavioral specialist.
Yes, Sarah Murphy has been selected to fill this position due to a resignation. Ms. Murphy earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in Interdisciplinary Studies and minored in Psychology at the University of Farmington. From the University of Maine, she also earned a Certificate of Graduate Study in Autism Spectrum Disorders and a Certificate in Applied Behavioral Analysis from the University of Farmington. She has also earned her master's in educational psychology with a concentration in applied behavior analysis from the University of Southern Maine. She has served as a special education teacher in RSU 10. She has also worked in the Biddeford School District as both a special education teacher and a BCBA at the middle school. And most recently, she has served as a BCBA at Biddeford High School. We are excited to bring her on board.
Wonderful. Do I have a motion to approve the behavioral specialist as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? And that shows unanimous. Thank you so much. Agenda item 15.2.2 is the middle school winter one coaches.
Yes, so as most of you are aware, at the middle school, there are 2 winter sports seasons. And so winter one season is basketball. And so in your packet this evening, you will see the appointments for our middle school basketball coaches.
Wonderful. Do I have a motion to approve the middle school winter one coaches as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? That shows unanimous. Thank you so much. All right, agenda item 16.0 is adjournment. With no objections, we will adjourn at 8:14 p.m. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.